Welcome viewers. On behalf of Iravati Research and Communication Center, this is Pratim Ranjan Bose. In this edition of CEO Speak, I have with me Mr. Bhaskar Jyoti Phukan, Director Technical of Numaligarh Refinery in Assam. He is holding additional charge of Managing Director of NRL. A well-known industry veteran, he was previously with Indian Oil. Welcome, Mr. Phukan.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here.
Thanks, sir. It's our pleasure. NRL is an Assam Accord refinery, meaning the Union government promised to build this refinery as part of the Assam Peace Accord in 1985 for economic development of the region. Started operations with 3 million ton per annum capacity in 1999, NRL has been the most modern refinery in Assam. However, its growth was impacted over the last decade as the Northeast had neither access to enough crude to support the regional refining capacity of 7 million ton per annum, nor did it have enough consumer demand in the region. As part of the activist commitments, the Narendra Modi government is now pursuing a plan to convert the region into a refining hub. A crude pipeline is laid from Paradip in Orissa, covering more than 1,000 kilometers up to Numaligarh to meet the raw material crisis. Similarly, wide-ranging plans are underway to ensure the refining sector to access market outside Northeast. NRL, for example, started exporting to Bangladesh. The exports will increase with implementation of a cross-country pipeline. Overall, the government wants to ramp up the regional refining capacity from 7 million ton per annum to 15 million ton per annum. NRL will be the centerpiece of this program as its capacity will be expanded threefold to 9 million ton per annum. In October this year, the central government approved a 28,000 crore, which is roughly $4 billion, expansion plan in NRL. This is by far the single largest investment in the region. The previous base, to my knowledge, was ONGC Tripura Power or OTPC. With this background, let us turn to Mr. Phukan to elaborate the role that NRL is expected to play in the near future for growth of Assam and Northeast India.
Thank you, Mr. Bose.
Thanks, sir.
See, NRL, as you have rightly said, is a accord refinery. It came out of an accord signed between Assam agitating students, that is All Assam Student Union, and Prime Minister of India in 1985. So from then on, from its incorporation as a company in 1993, then funds coming in, people coming in, and finally the refinery actually started producing in the year 2000. 99 Fagan and 2000, 99 mechanically completed, and 2000 it started producing. So it has been a journey for 22 years as of now. And as you have rightly said, though we did not grow in terms of volume, but NRL was never out of excitement. We were always looking for some sort of growth. Initially, you may recall, we ventured into retail outlets. That point of time, people who had invested around 3,000 crore, our initial investment was like that. And then people were allowed and given license, like this SR was given license, Reliance was given license, NRL was also given license for opening retail outlet. This was the first time.
ONGC also opened some outlets.
ONGC also, MRPL, like that, people have opened. Yeah. So those were the days where people saw first time outlets other than the traditional oil marketing company, namely IOCL, HPCL, IBP, and then we came as Reliance, NRL, and now this SR has become Nayara. Yeah, it has now become Nayara. So those were the days where we actually did extremely well in the retail market. Though we were small and numbers were less, we were almost selling double the average sale of retail outlet by the other OMCs. We had a very simple USP. People believe that NRL used to sell quality product, and their dealers were honest as compared to their peers. That was the only USP. There was no advertisement, and people started thronging our outlet on the word of mouth. And we also had a good retail, that non-fuel sales from some of the outlets. But things turned a little difficult for us as the
For
crude
everyone.
prices went up, and the government refiners were not allowed to increase the prices at that point of time. And those people were given subsidies by the upstream company as well as government. And though they also lost certain amount of money from themselves. But in our case, there was no subsidy coming in. We had no other alternative but to surrender all our retail outlet to our parent company, BPCL, just to contain the losses, because those days we were incurring heavy losses per liter of diesel sold and per liter of
How
MS
many
sold.
outlets you had by that time?
I think we had around 117 outlets that point of time. Actually, we had license for 510. By the time we actually decided to terminate that venture, we had around 117 running outlets. And we were doing extremely well, I'll tell you. We also had certain outlets in Delhi, Jaipur highway. So we wanted to have a pan-India presence, because for a long haulage trucking, you need a continuity of service. Then only actually you can get sales. So that was the thinking at that point of time. This is where we were. Initially,
When
we
did
were
you surrender
doing
your
well
outlets? I think
I
around
think in
2008,
year
9.
2009 and 9, 10, 11, like that, we had surrendered. So
Right.
it was becoming very unbearable, actually.
For
At
everyone,
one point
even
of
the
time,
private retailers closed down their outlets. I remember SR,
See, as you have
Reliance.
said, secondly, we also started building our motor spirit plant, which we commissioned in 2006. The logistic costs were hurting us. So we started thinking how to reduce the logistic cost. So we collaborated with Oil India. Oil India had a pipeline running from Naharkatia to Barauni. Duliajan to Barauni. So that portion of the pipeline, when they were supposed to supply to Bongaigaon refinery, had created some loop line in maybe in 80s or early 90s. But those were not being utilized now, that they were not pumping enough crude to Bongaigaon refinery. So those loop lines were utilized and to create a new pipeline. So those loop line constituted around 220 kilometer out of 600 kilometer that were to be built from Numaligarh to Siliguri. So that pipeline became lifeline for NRL, and operated by Oil India, we could reduce almost around $0.8 per barrel of transportation cost and added to our margin like that. So this was one thing that we did. We built up a terminal at Siliguri, and all the products that were earlier rail loaded from Numaligarh, now we're loaded at Siliguri terminal, thereby reducing transportation cost. This is one project that we implemented.
So what I find is that, you during these 20 years, you had worked on your logistics.
Yeah, we worked on first retail outlet, then we worked on the logistic cost. Then we started value addition, like we have commissioned that MS plant. We were not a refinery which were producing petrol initially. So in 2006, we had commissioned the motor spirit plant. So that was a good value addition project. Next, we implemented a project called diesel quality upgradation project. Basically, we have debottleneck our hydrocracker from 1.14 million ton to 1.41 million ton, something like that we had augmented. Thereby, we upgraded our product to Euro 3 product. Then we embarked upon one major project, value addition project called our wax plant, because Assam crude is very good for wax production. So we could isolate the paraffin from there and then produce wax. So that was a major value addition project, and you will be happy to know that the primary unit, the solvent de-oiling unit, was an indigenously developed unit and actually licensed by IIP and EIL, and NRL being the first investor. Now we co-own the license. If somebody were to replicate today, then we can actually sell this license to others. We got President's Medal for that, all three of us, because this was the first time this technology was indigenized. So this is another venture that we have done. We are operating the largest wax producing facility in the country. So our wax is recognized all over the country and also abroad. We are sending product to around 17 countries regularly. So this is our journey so far. And thereafter, of course, we had to have a BS4 production. We also created a
We
DSDT
now
unit.
produce BS4 fuels.
Yeah, we are producing BS6 now. Actually, we have still upgraded to BS6. So we initially in 2000, I think 2018, we commissioned that facility to produce BS4, but we could also produce BS6 from that unit. So in a nutshell, what I was trying to tell, that though volume-wise we could not swell because crude was not available, we never lost sight on any value addition opportunities. Finally, we realized that we had enough of value addition. First, we have to now increase the volume to remain sustainable, because if you don't increase in volume, per capita expenditure of converting crude to product goes up gradually, because your manpower cost and other costs goes up. So you need to have a quantity augmentation, and then again there will be a cycle of value addition. So this is what we thought. That's why we embarked upon the this refinery expansion project.
Right, sir. Thanks, sir. Thanks for giving us a quick, brief outline of the work done so far. So from here, the next issue is expansion project. So why these capacity expansion costs were escalated by approximately 24%? At the last moment, you went for some further addition of some products or whatever technology. So how will it help the company in terms of profit or market potential in the days to come?
See, actually, we started thinking of this project way back in 2011. So this project was in drawing board, and you will see that it's a very difficult project. People will think that what these guys are doing, bringing crude from 1,000 kilometers away, producing something, and also sending it back to 800, 900 kilometers away.
Exactly.
So people would tend to think that it doesn't make economic sense. See, now I will tell you why we went ahead. Because we were a sub-economic size of a refinery. You look at Reliance Refinery, that they are producing around 30 million, processing around 30 million. In the market, we have to compete with guys like them. So we are a 3 million ton refinery, 1/10 of their size. But your cost doesn't go down in that proportion. So you have to first augment your capacity. So we went with a pure capacity augmentation process. But by the time this project was approved, it was already 2019. So we are already in the middle of a energy transition story. So we could not have pursued this project the way it was approved. So we knew that days of diesel and petrol are numbered, and then gradually those things will fall down. We need to have our flexibility to switch between fuel and petrochemical. So we had a plan. That's why we revisited the configuration. We introduced something called PFCC, FCC plan, which helps us to produce propylene, which can further be converted to polypropylene. This is one. That will come at the expense of gasoline and diesel. So that's why it was very important. Secondly, we also brought in, because as the days went by, because you need more and more GRM, that gross refining
Right.
margin. So you need to have a bottom. Yeah. Then you need to have a bottom upgradation, severe bottom upgradation facility. We embarked on something called ebullited bed process, wherein actually what remains from a vacuum column bottom. So if you have a refinery, you will typically have a atmospheric column and a vacuum column. The bottom of the vacuum column, there are two destinations. One, it can directly go to a delayed coker unit, where 50% of it become a distillate, and 30% become coke, and balance become gas, which can further be utilized in the refining process. That is a traditional way of going, but you are losing distillate that way. But if you have something called ebullited bed, you can further upgrade that product to distillate, and you get good product, valuable product from there, rather than having coke. So this is one project plant we brought in along with the Petro FCC. These two plants are costly, and that's why we had to alter our this configuration to be future ready. One, we will be ready.
Put it in a briefly, is that you added petrochemical component to the plan for the flexibility.
Petrochemical component to the plant. One. Second, we also upgraded some bottom product,
right,
so that we have better GRM. So coupled with these two, actually our GRM improved. And the questions that people ask there, why bring crude and then process, and because petrochemical product will find market in Eastern region and Bangladesh. That we are very sure, because there is a huge demand over here, particularly Bangladesh. If you have traveled extensively in Bangladesh, Bangladesh is known for ready-made garments. And Dhaka is a hub of that. We have assessed that Dhaka itself consumes around 200 TMT of polypropylene for packaging need. And if you see, we are connected very beautifully by that river actually. If you load something very close to a refinery, it can sail downstream, and we will be extremely competitive if we export to Dhaka. This is one area. Otherwise also, even in Eastern zone, demand do exist, which are currently made from the imports from the other region. So these are the two areas that we are eyeing for. And petrochemical, our future is the future for all refining industries. As your fuel goes down, refineries to survive has to go willy-nilly to petrochemical. So we will also be doing that. As because we are now big enough, those initiatives can become economical. It cannot be economical for a very tiny, small refinery like 3 million ton refinery. You will not have good enough feed to embark into those projects. So this is what we have done. Just if you allow, I will just give you a very small economics. The crude, we are using this pipeline, which is around 1630 kilometers from Paradip to Numaligarh. Okay. The pipeline transportation cost is around 50 rupees per ton per kilometer. So you multiply and you will arrive at a per barrel cost of around $1.4 for transportation cost. Then you add the ocean freight, which is around $8.8. So you are at $2.2. So you can have a margin of around $7 with the kind of configuration that we have. And we can easily sustain our operation. That was the initial thought. And the current taxation system also, if you see, even for the domestic crude, when we procure from the Upper Assam oil fields, we pay VAT as well as the entry tax. Even if you leave out the entry tax, VAT itself is 5%. And today's cost of crude is around, say, $80. So that means you end up paying $4 only for the taxation, which will not be there when we import the crude. So these are the things which brings economy to the whole project. So I think I could explain to you.
Yes, sir. I'd just like to answer. You have rightly, before I ask you, you actually brought the topic that taking up the crude and bringing down the products. So huge transportation cost. You already said that to take the crude itself, you're sending $1.4 per barrel. Is it per barrel?
Yes,
okay.
Per barrel.
So now my question is, when compared to a coast-based refinery, ultimately you will sail in the same marketplace. So how can you reduce this cost through your operations, or there will be some kind of cost element, but your scale will justify that?
You will be happy to know that we are one of the most efficient public sector refinery in the country. See, all the refiners actually embarked on a journey called energy reduction. If you see in refinery, 70% of the cost other than crude cost comes from the energy cost. So Indian refiners, particularly the PSU refiners, got engaged with a benchmarking agency called Solomon Associates in the year 2010. Every 2 years, they were benchmarking Indian refiners with their peers within India, Asia Pacific, and in the world. So that's a very scientific kind of a benchmarking exercise. They used to compare the peers in different groups, and they would tell us how we are doing as far as our efficiency parameters were concerned. They were alarmed by the kind of energy use that we used to have in 2010. So we were, they used to give some numbers. One of such number is called energy efficiency index. We were in the third quartile, very low third quartile. The first quartile is the best and fourth quartile is the worst. So we were the best among PSU refinery, but we were in a very low third quartile, bordering fourth quartile actually. So from there, in the next 10 years, we came to first quartile actually. Very low first quartile, but above second quartile. So now we have been able to reduce the energy consumption by various initiatives. Some of them were low-hanging fruit, which was very obvious we could have done. We did not do it in 2010, but we did several projects by which we could reduce the energy consumption by around, in terms of EII, now we are at around 87. That means we have come down by 30 points. And each point is 3,000 ton per annum. You can imagine the kind of energy that we have saved over the period of time. So this is the energy matrix. So being efficient, actually, we can be competitive. You have asked whether there is a scope for optimization. Yes, there is a scope for optimization. And all the Indian refiners were very high on steam appetite. That means we were using excessive steam while refining. They were telling us that no, in the world base, do not do that. Please embark on electrification of the energy. So use electrical energy rather than using steam energy. I would like to say to you that 1 ton of fuel produces around 13 ton of steam. So 1 ton is 10,000 kilocalorie approximately. So that much of energy we were using to produce steam, and then steam was used to heat up something like that. Otherwise, you can actually use directly electrical energy to run motors rather than running a steam turbine to run a pump. So like that, we have saved a lot of energy, and energy efficiency brought in the competitive edge for us. At the point that I am trying to make, you can make the refinery earn more money in terms of GRM by having more efficiency and as well as a very smart configuration. That way, you can actually offset some of the disadvantages of being a inland refinery. Inland refinery also has some advantages as we are geographically located in
closer to the marketplace.
Yeah, closer to the marketplace. Those markets were not growing, but now it is fantastically growing actually. As the roads, as you have already said, so much of investment has come into roads are being
so
built.
How is
so that's why we have a very positive outlook, and we are very sure that we are no longer dependent on high logistic movement of both inward and outward product. That's it.
Okay, so what I understand is that you are looking forward to, or have taken already measures, and you're very conscious about it, that you have to optimize the costs to remain as competitive.
Yes.
Sir, you mentioned about Northeast market, so we will now go into the other marketing issues. So Northeast market, how is it growing? You're very right that Northeast should see a faster growth than the rest of country.
Yeah, Northeast consume around 30% lower than per capita petroleum consumption as compared to the other part of the country. This was also mentioned in the vision document which was made when this current government came into power. So that being the premises, so this region can only grow and grow. And plus, fortunately, Bangladesh is also having a fantastic growth story. So we have to take advantage of that. So that's why you have rightly said, we have started sending product to Bangladesh by rail. Also, we are putting a pipeline. So in future, we will offload more and more product once we grow in the refinery size. Secondly, there will be a tapering of demand of auto fuel. These markets will also sustain for some time because like India, Bangladesh is also a poor country, and the energy transition would be little subdued as compared to perhaps some other part of the world where the switch to EVs and maybe hydrogen. Of course, India is very, very well focused. It will happen, but it is not going to happen overnight. So we have a very firm belief that hydrocarbon, though muted in their growth, will continue to grow up to 2035. After that, it will plateau and start coming down. So we have almost that 12 years time or 13 years time to leverage on the market availability for the product, and then switch from this auto fuel to some smart chemical. So this is the window, and we have to be extremely cautious to see how we go ahead from now onwards, and which technology will finally catch on. Is it the battery EV or FCEV? Hydrogen will succeed, or only the battery mobility will succeed, or will it be a combination of both? So we have to keep our eyes and ears open and do the right decision in future. As of now, our main job is to build a refinery on time and without cost overruns, so that we are financially stable and to take a further project in future for our long-term sustenance.
So the crude pipeline refinery, I understand 2023 is the deadline, right?
24 July should be the thing, but by December we should commission it actually. Yes.
Okay. And the crude pipeline?
We'll have to co-terminus with that. We have challenges in the crude pipeline. Crude pipeline, most of the challenges come from the land acquisition issue. We are not.
But I understand there is already a pipeline, isn't it, from Paradip through Haldia or something?
What happened? Our alignment is such that we are fortunate that we will be co-aligning with GAIL pipeline and Indradhanush gas grid pipeline.
Okay.
So out of 1630 kilometer, new pipeline, new ROU will be limited to around 700 kilometer only. The rest we are coming along other right of way, initially from GAIL, through GAIL from Purnia to Guwahati. And then again from Guwahati to Numaligarh, we are catching on the IGGL pipeline. So we are not required to go for fresh ROU. But to come from that Paradip to Purnia, so we have to come, we have to take fresh ROU in the state of Orissa, Bengal, Bihar, and Jharkhand.
So that is the concern area.
That is why we are little stressed. So land acquisition, is always an issue. We are trying to navigate through it. So hopefully we'll be successful. Yes.
Right. And what about the product pipeline to Bangladesh? What stage it is?
Bangladesh pipeline is almost 90% complete. So there are some HDDs, horizontal drilling requirement is there to cross over the rivers at Bangladesh. So we are a little behind on that, but hopefully another 2 months time we should be through with the mechanical completion. That is the target.
So mechanical completion is expected by April.
After that, it takes pipeline generally doesn't take too much of time to go for commissioning from mechanical completion. Hopefully in 3 months time we should be up and running.
So by May, June max.
May, June. We were not, it was not that COVID was not very kind to us. We had 3 rounds of that. So that did not help in timely commission of the pipeline. That was very unfortunate part. And again, pipeline means land acquisition. Land acquisition means interacting with people. So COVID time, it got really hampered actually.
Will you go into marketing in Bangladesh, retail market?
We have already initiated the discussion with them. So why not allow us to co-brand with one of your outlet, so that we can upgrade your outlet and you can actually increase the sale. Because Bangladesh is a country, once you travel, you have traveled extensively, you will know that it is a country which is, things are happening actually. If you go to Bangladesh, you feel the kind of economic activity that they are having actually.
Right. Yes, absolutely. For 10 years, they're growing at a very fast pace. You have answered my, whatever I wanted to ask you about the energy transition. You have more or less answered, and I really liked your approach that what you were saying is that we have to keep and watch. You cannot just take a call and freeze your strategy, and which is a very prudent thing to do, because personally I'm expecting petrol sales to suffer, because 61% of petrol sales is for two-wheelers, and two-wheelers are fast being converted into EVs. So in a 5-year time span, the growth in that segment should come under pressure. And of course, hydrogen is there, but more than that, if the gas comes in, that will open some opportunity for CNG, LNG trucking, right?
Yes, yes,
Which
yes.
is
We will
which
be
is
under multiple threat, but nevertheless, the kind of growth. I will just give you one more statistics, which will put the things in perspective. Our HDI, India's HDI is around 0.6. If you you read the INDC, India that nationally that declaration that India has given to state their intention to cut the carbon emission.
right.
There you will see that no country has grown to HDI level of 0.9 without having a per capita consumption of 4 ton equivalent of oil. That is the kind of primary energy people needs to consume to be at 0.9. You assume that we become super efficient, that 4 TOE can become 2 TOE, but at currently India is consuming around 0.64 TOE. That means you have to at least grow 3 times to reach to at least 2 ton equivalent, so that you will be somewhere near 0.9, if not 0.9. So with that kind of growth, that whole energy basket, India primary energy consumption is around 800 million ton equivalent today. So it has to become 2,400 ton of oil equivalent to be near about 0.9 of HDI. So we must grow in HDI. So therefore, our energy consumption will be fantastic. So you cannot leave out oil, which is currently 30%. 30% may not remain 30%. It may come down to 20%, 15%.
No,
But
it has to
that
be the base energy. It has to be the base energy.
yeah,
You
yeah.
cannot just go
So
out.
energy is not going, but this oil, what point I am trying to make is that oil is not going to go in a hurry. Actually, it will be there for some time before it peaks
Everyone
and starts
expected
coming
coal
down.
to go out. Now coal is back, sir.
And some of the strategies actually are being criticized nowadays for taking action too soon in the West, because they thought that tomorrow things will change, EVs will take over, and they stop investing in hydrocarbon. And
That is
the
exactly
results
what
are there to
happened. They
results are
didn't
there to
invest
see.
in ultra deep sea or deep sea projects.
Yeah, yeah. And then results are there to see. And you are back to $90, and people are already talking about it is crossing $100 in a few months'
Yeah,
time.
Ukraine, Russia can send it anywhere.
So,
So, sir, what is this biodiesel plant is all about? I'm asking because yours is unique from bamboo.
yeah, it's not biodiesel actually, it is bioethanol. The ethanol
Right.
is akin to petrol. Okay. So you have said that EV will penetrate into two-wheeler. Another thing which is coming is ethanol. Ethanol is going to be 20% blended with MS by the year 2024. That is the target. And for that, even your BS6 vehicles are already ready to accept that. Maybe older version vehicles
Sir, we
need to
have
have
seen
some,
such ethanol targets in the past also. They were not met. So,
but
how is the
uh, but
situation?
but things are getting different now. They are already into almost 10% bracket as of now, as we speak. So in few last couple of years, fantastic work has been done on the ethanol front. Sugar factories have started embarking on ethanol, because the price promised is very commanding actually. They get 62 rupees almost per liter. So that being a very good support price, people are giving ethanol. And FCI is also offering broken rice, and so many people have expressed their interest to have 1G. These are called 1G ethanol because they are made out of food grains. What we are trying to do is to convert bamboo into ethanol, which is non-food grade. There is no competition. These plants are called 2G ethanol. There are other feedstock like rice husk and cotton waste, something like that can also be used. Basically, you have to have cellulosic biomass. Cellulose has to be isolated, then cellulose has to be converted to glucose and further to ethanol. So this is what we are trying to do from bamboo. So we are putting up a plan which will produce around 6 crore liter of ethanol per annum, and which is good enough to have a in the entire Northeast demand. If you see, we will be around 10% of the Northeast demand of gasoline with that kind of ethanol being produced. So
And
we
what
are
kind of
already.
tail impact it will create? Because bamboo is a local resource, so you are basically,
I will
but
just give
they,
you few numbers. I will just give you few numbers. See, we are procuring something around 200 crore of worth of rupees of bamboo per year. 200 crore entirely will not go to the grower. Around 100 crore goes to the grower, and 80 odd crore will go to the person who will chip the bamboo at the different localities, because we want to do a off-situ chipping, because use the water in the bamboo at the village level and then carry dry bamboo. That actually saves us transportation cost. Otherwise, you will spend a lot of money in carrying water to your plant, which is not useful. Then there will be transporter who will be engaged. Balance portion they will get. Whole kitty is 200 crore. So 200 crore of raw material we will buy from the local people. That is villager, cheaper, and the transporter. So those people will get. That is a huge boost to the local economy. Secondly, the product that we are going to produce is not only ethanol. We will produce something called furfural, which is also a very value-added product, and 19,000 ton of such product will produce. We will also produce around 14,000 ton of acetic acid, which is again a very value-added product. So these combined, we are also getting good economics, provided we get a good price for ethanol. Government has given us liberty to price that. Hopefully, they will also give a mandate by which people will be forced to blend this 2G ethanol, because 2G ethanol is good in a sense that it doesn't compete with the food grain.
okay.
As a starter food grain, 1G ethanol is good, but I have doubt on the sustenance, because plants like sugarcane are actually water guzzlers, and if these are grown in areas where water tables are already depleted, it will become a
Absolutely.
problem in the long run. So definitely bamboo has a future. Let us hope that we are extremely successful and we are economical. Then we can replicate many such plants in the country.
I agree, sir. Northeast didn't have a scope for food grain based ethanol because it is food grain short or just about it. But
Yes, yes.
of course, bamboo, which was the local resource, the right environment for growing it, so it will have a huge trailing impact on the
Yes, yes.
economy.
Bamboo, we have 500 million ton of bamboo, either grown in forest or in households. So now bamboo has been termed as a grass, and it doesn't
What will
require
be the
forest permission.
your consumption in tonnage of bamboo?
500,000 metric ton. That means 0.5 million ton out of 500 million stock that we have. And moreover, we will not stop at only harvesting bamboo. We are trying to replenish about 2 crore pole per year. And we are trying to build an infrastructure to have that kind of replenishment by tissue culture. So we already had sponsored a tissue culture lab who is doing great work. They are already up to around 1 lakh seedlings per month, kind of a figure. So we will have multiple of them. So we have planned for replenishing. Whatever we will harvest, we will replenish. That is our
Right, right.
overall bamboo will not, because that is the catch. Actually, bamboo is a very good carbon sink. They are actually much better than their peers, because you see the whole bamboo is full of chlorophylls. Okay, it is green bamboo. So the carbon sink is 30% more than the equivalent mass of other tree. So that being the case, it will sink. The kind of bamboo plantation that we are encouraging will sink around 212,000 metric ton of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. As opposed to that, our whole release of carbon dioxide from the plant, including the inward transportation, is around 234,000 metric ton, out of which 48,000 metric ton comes out of the fermentation process that we'll have, which can easily be captured and be used. So if that be the case, we will be carbon negative in the whole production process. That is the big plus that we have.
Right, right. Sir, how is the what is the status of Indradhanush gas pipeline, IGGL?
Indradhanush
Just
is
asking.
progressing well. Yeah, Indradhanush is progressing well. They are focusing on first giving the connectivity from Guwahati to Numaligarh, because we are the major anchor customer. Once we have this new refinery up and running, we will consume around 2.7 mmSCD gas. So they immediately their economics will come, and then they will have branch pipeline thereafter, and then also they will take on the phase 2, phase 3 like that. So now they are focusing from Guwahati to Numaligarh to start with. So they are all
Okay.
progressing well.
Okay. So you are not only a stakeholder, you are also one of the biggest consumers for them.
Yeah. Both way we are connected. We are 20% stakeholder. Also, we are the biggest consumer over there.
Right. Right. Sir, so we are coming to the almost to the closure of this thing. Before I ask you the last question, I mean, rather put it together. You said in your previously about taking goods by river to Bangladesh, right? Now, to what extent, I mean, what are the possibilities, logistics possibilities that you are seeing? It is not merely river, the road movement, rail movement, whatever it could be, how you are looking at it, and whether what are the areas that you think that still needs attention, in the coming years, those areas are to be addressed in terms of logistics.
What we are trying to do currently, see, we need lot of equipment, very heavy equipment, which needs to be transported riverways. So we are in discussion, and IWAI has come forward to help us. We have a jetty at a place which is 10-15 kilometers away from our refinery in a tributary called Dhansiri. So from NW2, that is Brahmaputra, we will have to take Dhansiri 28 kilometers upstream and get to the jetty. So this jetty, this area, this stretch has to be dredged. So they will do dredging to maintain the draft, and we will get the equipment over there. Once we are done with the project, we will have lot of solid products. That is our first intention. We can backload those products from that jetty, and it can sail downwards either to Pandughat, because we were asked what is the kind of cargo that we can think of, because we will have a lot of sulfur which is coming, because crude has sulfur. Sulfur cannot be released to the atmosphere. We convert it to elemental sulfur. Sulfur is a good fertilizer, so people are willing to take it. So we said that we will transport it to either Maligaon or to Pandu or to Jogighupa kind of a thing, which may be around 200 ton per annum, 200 kiloton per annum to be precise. And as I have told, we are also aiming at Dhaka as a market. So Dhaka, definitely we will sell in excess of 100,000 metric ton of polypropylene, because we are also trying to build a polypropylene, and maybe next 4 years time we will have that cargo with us. So this is the very preliminary plans that we have. Apart from that, we will also have coke, raw petroleum coke, which can also be loaded in barges and sent to the consuming places wherever they need. But basically, these are required by the cement factories. So they will, accordingly, they have to unload somewhere, maybe again in Jogighupa or Pandu, wherever it is. But we are very keen to utilize this riverway, for which the government will take necessary action for keeping the draft. In case dredging is required, they will do the dredging like that.
Taking the river, will it not be anything? Will it not be cumbersome for you? You are more habituated in by road transfer and etc. Will it be less costly? I mean, have you?
Yeah, extremely economical. So if you have to endure some of the inconvenience, but once the logistic is established, I think those goes away. Initial hiccups will be there, but there will be a good, if you have a good port where ship can dock, then it becomes a business center, and then all facilities fall in place. That is what we have experienced. So river transportation is definitely a very good way of transporting. It is cheap. Second, it is also less polluting, because your fuel consumption is much lesser. That's why it is economical, basically. So river is one thing that we are seriously looking at. And obviously, there is a massive improvement in road transport, road infrastructure. Obviously, that benefit will flow to us, and all inaccessible areas will be accessible. People will get what was long called as a energy justice. Not only they don't get fuel, but it is also prohibitively costly when they used to get. Suppose you are in Manipur, if you have to buy a
Oh, I
liter
know.
of petrol, you can imagine the kind of hardship those people are subject to. So now things have improved gradually. I think
In
it will
fact, there
further
is
improve.
also another side of the story is that you will actually destroy a huge black economy that exists there, informal economy.
Correct, correct,
So
correct.
that's great, really. And yes, I mean Nagaland and etc. Manipur are known for this fuel crisis on and off. But over the last couple of years, a lot of things. Earlier, there used to be an LPG crisis. In Tripura, I noticed a lot of the times pumps used to go dry, but these things are coming down. The region is getting far more, the energy poverty of the region is getting addressed. That is what I noticed
Yes,
over the
yes.
last couple of years.
The very basic reason why we were not consuming energy is simply was not available to the public who ought to have consumed it. Now that it is becoming available, people also aspire to get it. Even if they are out of bounds, they will do something by which they are being able to earn to at least procure those. So this is a cycle actually. Once you see something coming to your premises, you like to consume it. And for that, if you want to have to work hard, you little work hard, and because there are huge benefit, huge upside. The LPG has really changed the whole way the cooking was done in the villages. I think Ujala has done a very good work that way.
So like that, the access creates the demand. If there is no access, then how can you say that what is the market demand? There was little
Yeah.
access to things. I
Yes.
mean, selling fuel in small bottles, plastic bottles, has been a norm in the Northeast. Wherever you go, you see on the roadside they're selling fuel on the small bottles. So these things.
I will also like to tell something in the conclusion. See, we are also seriously looking at Myanmar, though there was a recent setback in form of the change in governance there, but we are still looking at it because More is only 420 kilometers away from us, and there is a province called Sagaing province over there. It has a population of 30 lakh and absolutely unserviced area. Absolutely unserviced area. So we had a very serious thought of entering into retail marketing over there. We will do that when the time again comes back and that political stability comes back. Definitely, we are keeping eyes and ears open over there.
But yeah, Sagaing is adjacent to Manipur.
Adjacent to Manipur, yes.
But how will you take your products?
See, we have already dispatched a few loads over there. It is absolutely doable. There is no issue. Trucks can travel and get transshipped in Tamu and then further move upwards. So we will have, but you have to have a retail outlet because they also have something called wholesale price and retail price. Wholesale price, you don't get the margins that we aspire for because of the high transportation cost. But once we get into retailing, which is possible as per their norms, because you have to have a partner there. So with that partner, you can also have a joint venture, and retail margin is very high. So we will have savings over there. So definitely we will get into retail marketing and realize very decent margin over there. And it is a very virgin market. And once the Asian highway number 1 goes through that area, you can imagine a lot of traffic will be there.
Okay.
It will change the life of those people also.
I was not asking you about Myanmar because I thought that NRL has lost hopes on that market, but you said that you were very serious about it.
No,
Thank you,
we
sir.
are very serious. We will continue to look at it actually. We can't ignore it actually. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us a very nice overview of things happening. I'm sure it's very exciting times. Things are changing. And as you have rightly said, that you are keeping a watch and how to go. You know the broad direction that with time, the growth in liquid fuel will be down. So you have to shift to other products, and you are working on logistics and market. You are very bullish on Bangladesh. That is what I can understand. And because it's a very big market in the region and a growing market. So on that note, let us end this conversation. Thank you very much for giving time to us. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.